the story is too large, quite frequently a little bit works much better.
Okay, you were the one who said that, yes.
Yeah, this is a story about the Sri Lankan tsunami, or it's a tsunami, shall we say, of 2004, which affected us a huge, 40,000 people died. It's about a woman who has a split second to decide which child she rescues. And it's a true story. It's called Last Man Standing. The Admiral watched the woman in the blue t-shirt feeding her 2 children. She was cutting up bacon for the younger one. The elder boy was flicking cornflakes around the open pavilion that served as a hotel dining room. It was too early in the morning for children. The Admiral looked glumly down at his plate of sticky rice and curried tuna. He was a very important person. He wore national dress at all times. The white tunic, the white sarong. So it was only natural that the hotel should choose to honor him with an ethnic breakfast. All the same, the bacon smelled wonderful. But noblesse will oblige, and the Admiral ploughed on through his glutens. He could hear the manager of the hotel. "We're very pleased to have you back with us yet again this Christmas," the manager was saying to the woman at the other table. "How many years has it been in all?" 14, she replied. "Enjoy your meal." With great dignity, the manager removed a cornflake from his ear and retired, avoiding the Admiral's table altogether. The little boy burped. The woman giggled, and the Admiral stood up sharply, his chair falling back in outraged sympathy. Just then, the sunlight in the pavilion began to dim. Somebody was trying to turn it down, so the real performance of the day could begin. And right on cue, the wave appeared in the far corner of the dining room, the roaring grey ghost at the Boxing Day feast. The elder boy was the first to react. He sprang up and faced the wave in a half crouch. Then he hurled his bowl of cornflakes at it. The woman screamed. Instinctively, she put her arm around the younger boy. The older one ran towards her, and she gripped his hand, thinking, "Please God, may I be able to hold on to them both." The head of the younger boy went under, and with a supreme effort, she managed to lift him above the surface of the water. As she did, she realized with a flicker of karmic horror that her grip on the other boy had weakened. "Amma," he said with a look of mild reproach on his face. He was swept away in a sea of tables, chairs, cups and plates, all the detritus of a 5-star hotel breakfast. That single word he spoke, that look he gave, would come back again and again to haunt her in the sleepless long night of the rest of her life. With the nimbleness born of years in the political arena, the Admiral leapt lightly onto a passing Dutch chest. He couldn't help noticing it was rather a fine chest, late 17th century Dutch, of flowered satinwood. It was quite seaworthy, really. Clipping his mobile to his ear to call for reinforcements, the Admiral floated smartly down past reception and out into open country. It was, he thought, rather like being back in the Navy again. The woman found herself wedged in the branches of a tree, her younger son clinging to her leg below. The rough bark felt strangely comforting, and she put her bruised face against it. She had swallowed so much mud and seawater, she felt as if all the ills of the world were within her. There was no sign of the other boy. She saw a figure floating towards her, its milky cataracted eyes staring ahead, its grey hair spread out in a fan behind. "Over here," she cried. "I'm over here." But it was only a corpse on a log, drifting by, wide-eyed and serene, on its last journey home. The woman looked about her, at the empty sea, the cruel sky. She thought of all the things left unsaid and undone in her life. She closed her eyes and was so very sorry. And then the second wave. A single chopper flapped in the sky, an unwieldy bird of prey looking for carrion, and 3 pajeros raced up to the preordained piece of high ground where it landed, offering up their choice morsel of humankind. And then they roared away again. And if they didn't seem to hear the moans of the bodies struggling in the mud all around, perhaps it was because their tinted windows were up, and perhaps their air conditioning was on. From his seat, high up in the air, the admiral looked down